The nature and problem of evil. In our present modernistic day, many people have become reluctant to identify something as being evil. This reluctance has two roots. One lies in the modernistic moral relativism, the other in the Western confusion over what evil is and what its origins are. Moral relativism can be ascribed to spiritual cowardice. If one is reluctant to identify something as evil, then one is excused from opposing it. It has become the fashion to identify as pure evil things which are historical relics or things which pose real and present threat, e.g. German Nazis or Illuminati. At the same time, real and present dangers are rationalized away. This allows those responsible for fighting evil to retreat and be inactive. Deeper than this, however, is the Western confusion about the nature of evil. Real evil, such as ignorance, stupidity, violence, cruelty, sickness, and poverty, have been historically ignored or even institutionalized and promoted, while naturally good things, such as intellectual curiosity, sexual enjoyment, and techniques for transcendental consciousness have been vilified as the epitome of evil. The average Westerner, imbued of Judeo-Christian pseudo-morality, will naturally think of things such as sex, drugs, and rock and roll when contemplating the meaning of sin. This not only makes a person feel guilty for enjoying himself in life, which is a key component in tyrannical control, but it also allows the purveyors of the empire of ignorance, violence, and poverty to impose themselves on the world. Elsewhere, we have discussed the Zoroastrian idea that the evil god Ahriman was the equal twin brother of the good god Ormazd. This is a myth that is easier to understand, but not the myth of actual Zoroastrianism. Their evil is seen as an inevitable and avoidable yet accidental byproduct of existence, just as shadow is a byproduct of light, produced by the presence of objects which block the light. Evil is likewise an inevitable product of good, yet it is one that can be eliminated by actions of Ahriman's agents in the world, the VII of humanity. The paradoxical nature of evil is discussed by Suggest the Mystery in his book Zoroastrianism. Evil in Zoroastrianism is not a reality in itself, but it is an existential paradox experienced by man. Through the imbalance reflected in the physical world, it is only in the relative world that the state of excess and deficiency are observable and discernible, thereby giving an apparent existence to evil which does not, and in fact not stem from any source. Evil only mirrors a denial of that which is existent and intrinsically good. Being parasitic, it does not, and in fact cannot exist on its own. In other words, evil is ex nihilo, i.e. it arises from out of no thing, and therefore it has no existence. Nevertheless, it is observable as the denial of the mean, which in turn results in imperfection within the relative world. Mystery, page 29. The view of evil as an absence of good has a philosophical resonance, and was the explanation favored by the Greek philosopher and crypto-Zoroastrian Plato. However, there is also something to be said for the idea that evil has an existence and is an active force independent, contrary to the good. The logic of this position stems from the fact that we can observe the presence of evil in our world. Its presence cannot be easily denied. This is not only the evil that humans do when they make ignorant choices, but also the fact that unhealthy, degrading, and ugly things exist in general. If Ahriman has no part in this, which is the only possible conclusion we can reach. If Ahriman is all good and cannot create anything evil, and evil exists, then someone or something else must have caused it. Thus, other thing is the someone, is the lie, druid, and its master Angra, Mainyu, or Ahriman. Relativists and others try to make the individual think that it is hard to identify what evil is. This is not hard at all. Evil is a deficiency of good and excess of any one thing to the detriment of other things. The good is balanced, the good is many, bad is imbalanced and possible. Most recognize evil when they see it, but they too cowardly allow themselves to be aware of it. This awareness leads to action, and action leads to dangerous situations. Most people can readily identify evil in contrast to good if they allow themselves to do so. What is more difficult is to realize just how much each of us participate in this evil on a moment-by-moment basis in our thoughts, words, and deeds. This often happens each moment of the days of our lives. All negative thoughts, words, and deeds directed at ourselves or towards others are small victories for Ahriman. I challenge the reader to set aside 15 minutes, a half hour, and then an hour of the day simply to observe your thoughts, words, and deeds, and see how much of it is negative nature. Such experiments can open your eyes to the amount of work that needs to be done in order to reach an enlightened state. This exercise alone will not lead to the state of being as a Magavan, but it is part of the process. As good of Ahura Mazda and the Azatas is all really made up of abstract pattern structures of constructs of benefit and balance, so too are the Devas of Ahriman made of equally abstract pattern structures and constructs which are detrimental to and chaotic. Outsiders and non-initiates of the good religion may be tempted to think that the angels Yazatas and demon Devas are thought to be little cherubs and hobgoblins flitting around us, whispering in our ears and urging us to do good or bad deeds, speak good or bad words, or to think good or bad thoughts. Such are the concepts of childish minds. Perhaps one must first think as a child before one can think as an adult, but the child's conceptualization is not the ultimate truth of the matter. In fact, Yazatas and Devas are abstract constructs of nature, getic, flowing from the spiritual prototype menage, which are like signals or frequencies, and which tend to shape or to form our thoughts, words, and deeds. According to the characteristic actions of these constructs, we interact with these patterns on a moment-by-moment basis, at each moment making a choice to think, verbalize, to do things which will bring us as individuals and the world around us more understanding, power, and prosperity, or more ignorance, weakness, and poverty. Evil is not a product of God, nor is it innate in man, who is one of the seven great creations of Ramazda. Evil attacks us all, God, man, and all the good creations from outside our own natures. We inevitably live in a world in which good and evil are mixed. This attack on the good order, Asha, of the cosmos occurred before man was created. The creation of humanity by Ahura Mazda's combination of our bodies with a spark of divine known as the Harvashi and other divine gifts is one of the chief acts of the warfare by Ahura Mazda against the Drudge. As evil does not exist and is palpable in the world, it is only logical to conclude that the Creator is temporarily unable to defeat this evil. If it were possible to do so, Ahura Mazda would have done it already. This task must be done, and it must be done by Ahura Mazda making use of the secret weapon, humanity. What thinking Christian, Jew, or Muslim has not contemplated his religious theological insistence on God being three things: omnibenevolent, omniscient, and omnipotent, i.e., all good, all seeing, and all powerful, and been perplexed? How can God be all three of these and have evil exist in the world? Some have tortured their own minds and hearts into believing that there is no evil in the world and that everything is just a matter of perspective. Such is the spiritual refuge of a coward. Honest men who see evil know when they see it and know that it exists all around us and within our own hearts. Given the evil does exist, how can God allow it? If God is all good, how can it come to be? It is that he cannot see. If he is all powerful, why does he not destroy it? Logically working through all the permutations of these theological equations, the only reasonable conclusion is that God, the true and real God, i.e., the wise Lord, focused intelligence, is all good, the essence of the deity, and all seeing as the product of absolute intelligence, but that Ahura Mazda is at present in a temporary state of relative inability to destroy the forces of evil. The answer of the Abrahamic religions is blind and illogical. For the moment, I will leave to the reader to decide what the source of this blindness to reason is. As to the characteristics of evil, it can be said that it is a state of imbalance, a state in which there is too much or too little of something. The thing in question may be good and even necessary in the proper balance, but the life-threatening evil of excess or deficiency. Take water, for instance. It is necessary to all life. Drought and thirst are well-known deficiencies which have evil effects hostile to the good of life. But so too can excess of water lead to death by drowning or water toxicity. In our Germanic language, the very word evil indicates too much of something.